All right, so in the last video, I went over plotting points and slope. So in this video, we're going to talk about finding equations of line, giving information about them. All right, so there's three different things that are going to happen. Okay, so for most lines, let's see, where's my pen? There it is. Okay, so for most lines, the formula that we're going to use to find the equation of a line, if I give you information about the line, is this one. All right, this is called the point slope form of the line. Okay, so that's the point slope form of a line. That's going to be most lines that we're going to find the equation of. This m we know is the slope, and then x1 and y1 is just a point on the line. Okay, so that's going to be how we're going to find most equations of lines. Now, when we were learning about slope, we found a couple of, let's get rid of these guys. Come on. We found a couple of special cases, okay, and that is horizontal lines and vertical line. Okay, so most lines are not horizontal or vertical, and they are going to follow that point slope form of the line. For horizontal lines, the equation is just going to be y equals a number, y equals b, okay? And that b is our y-intercept. How about we make that look like a y? There we go. Okay, so that 0, b is the y-intercept. So a horizontal line is just going to look like y equals 2 or y equals -6. It's just y equals to a number. Okay, if you have a vertical line, okay, so remember horizontal goes that way, vertical goes this way. The equation of a vertical line is just going to be x equals a number. We'll call this x equals a. Okay, where a is that x-intercept. Okay, so we'll say a comma 0 is the x-intercept. Okay, so vertical lines are going to have equations that are just like x equals 1 or x equals -3.5 or something. It's just a number, x equals a number. All right, okay, so we're going to try to find the equations of a few lines. Okay, so I'm going to give you some information about, oops. Let's go back, find the equation of the line. There we go. Okay, so we're going to find the equation of the line that passes through (1, 11) and (2, -4). Okay. All right, so again, I'm going to write this point slope form of the line. Right? And we want to plug in 3 different places here. We're going to plug in for y1, for x1, and for m. Okay. Now, it doesn't matter whether you consider the point 1, 11, x1, y1, or -2, -4, x1, y1. Either point will work. You're going to get exactly the same equation of the line. Positive numbers are easier to deal with than negative, so I'm going to call this point x1, y1. But again, you can pick your favorite point. You'll get the same answer either way. So I'm going to plug in x1 is equal to 1, and y1 is equal to 11. All right, but then we also need to plug in for the slope. So we're going to have to figure out what the slope of this line is. And we know how to figure out slope from our last video. I'm going to come off to the side of my scratch work. And I'm going to remember m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All right. So I'm going to call this x2, y2. So we'll just calculate our slope just like we did in the last video. Y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's a whole lot of negative. All right, so I've got negative 4 minus 11 is negative 15. Negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. All right, so this is just a positive 5. Okay, and that's what I'm going to plug in over here on the left in my point slope form of the line. All right, the x and the y that are in this formula, okay, the x and the y, you're going to leave those as variables. Remember that the equation of line should be a y equals mx plus b, so there should be a y and an x. You want those variables to remain in the equation. Everything else you want to plug in. Okay, so just following the pattern, I've got y minus 11 equals my slope of 5, x minus 1. And we're just going to clean that up and write that like the equation, the y equals mx plus b equation of the line. So I'm going to distribute that 5 over on the right. I'm going to copy the left. I've got y minus 11. When I distribute 5 times x, and then 5 times negative 1, 5x minus 5. All right, then we'll just add 11 to both sides. And we get our line, y equals 5x plus 6. All right. So we know that that line's going to have a slope of 5 and a y-intercept of 6. All right, and if you graph that one after we get to the next video, we'll see that that's exactly what happens. All right. Okay, so that's how we find an equation of a line that's just kind of a regular, not vertical, not horizontal line. Okay, so we're going to do another one. Oops, there we go. All right, so in part B, again, this might be a good time. We're going to say, let me write this down first. Passing through negative 8, comma 4, and 4, comma 7. All right, so this might be a good idea to pause it or mute it and see if you're going to get the same answer as me. All right, so again, I'm going to copy down my point slope form of the line, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Again, it does not matter which point you pick, x1, y1. Again, positive numbers are easier to deal with than negatives, so I'm going to call this one x1, y1. And so I'm going to plug in y1 is going to be 7, and x1 is going to be 4. And you could plug in y1 is 4 and x1 is negative 8. You could do that from the first point. It doesn't matter. As long as you don't mix and match. You can't take a y coordinate from one point and the x coordinate from the other. That won't work. All right. Then the m, I'm going to come off to my scratch work, off to the side, and calculate my slope. So copying down my formula from the last video. Okay, so now, since I already labeled this x1, y1 on the right, this one's going to be x2, y2. Okay, so this time I'm subtracting left minus right. Remember, it doesn't matter what order you subtract in, you're going to get the right answer either way. Okay, so the way I have it labeled, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, keep doing this in the order where I get negative numbers all over the place. It's all right. So 4 minus 7 is negative 3. Negative 8 minus 4 is negative 12. So let's see. So those are going to cancel. The negatives are going to cancel, and I need to reduce the 3 and the 12. So 3 goes into 12 4 times. Okay, so this slope is 1/4. Okay, so fraction. So that's what I'm going to plug in for my slope, 1/4. All right, so I'm just going to recopy my equation, my point slope form of a line with all those numbers plugged in. Y minus 7 equals 1/4 x minus 4. Okay, exactly like last time, except I've got a fraction to deal with. So I'm going to copy that y minus 7, and now I'm going to distribute 1/4 times x. And then 1/4 times a -4. Okay, and 1/4 times 4, if you kind of come off to your scratch work over here, 1/4 times 4. Think of that 4 as being 4/1. Okay, the 4's cancel. This is just equal to 1. Okay, so when I distribute 1/4 times 4, or -4, I get -1. And then I'm just going to add my 7. So y equals 1/4 x. -1 plus 7 plus 6. Getting 6 y-intercepts all over the place. All right, so this line, y equals 1/4 x plus 6. All right. Okay, so in general, if you don't have a horizontal or vertical line, this is how it's going to go. You have 2 points. You figure out the slope. You plug in one of the points. You find the equation of the line. All right. All right, but what if you do have a vertical or horizontal line? Okay, so let's say that we have a horizontal line through the point 2, 5. Okay. All right, so on the slide where I said defining the equation of a line, I said that a horizontal line is always going to have the equation y equals b, where b is the y-intercept. Okay, well, let's think about that. We draw a horizontal line through the point 2, 5. So I'm going to come over here off to the side, graph the point 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I come up here and I plot that point. And I'm going to draw my horizontal line through that point. Okay, so if I'm going to have a horizontal line that goes through the point 2, 5, okay, if it's going to stay horizontal, then all the points on this line are going to have the same y-coordinate, right? That's kind of the point of a horizontal line. They're all going to have a y-coordinate of 5, including the point that's there on the y-axis. Okay, so the y-intercept of that line has to be 5. Okay, so the equation of this line is just y equals 5. Okay, you don't even use that x-coordinate because the horizontal line doesn't care what the x-coordinate is. Its answer is always 5. The y-coordinate is always 5. Okay, so if you can recognize that it's a horizontal line, there's a lot less work finding the equation of the line. Okay, likewise with vertical lines. So let's do a vertical line. Okay. All right, so part D. Okay, so this time I tell you, find the equation of the line that has undefined slope that passes through -5, 10. Okay. All right, so now this one, I didn't tell you that it's what kind of line it is, but you're going to know, because you're going to have written on your note card for your exam, or you're going to have it memorized, that when I say undefined slope, okay, that is telling you that the line is vertical. And then you're going to know, because you're going to have it written down on your card or have it memorized, that vertical lines have the equation x equals a. X equals a number, and that number is going to be the x-intercept. So again, thinking about what this line must look like, -5, 10 is this point they've given us. So 1, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So it's telling us we've got a vertical line, passing through -5, 10. All right, so if I draw a vertical line through -5, 10, third time's charm. Okay. All right. All of the points on that vertical line are going to share that -5 x coordinate. You can use your imagination that I drew that one in the right place. All right. All right, so they all have that same x coordinate. It doesn't matter what the y coordinate is. All of the points on a vertical line have the same x coordinate. Okay, so that equation of the line is just going to be x equals -5. Okay, so horizontal lines only care about the y coordinate. Vertical lines only care about the x coordinate. Okay. All right. So that's it for finding equations of lines. So this is the end of the second video. The last video is going to be on graphing lines and a little bit on parallel and perpendicular lines. Okay.